everybody, another quick video for you. We tried to start Earthquake the other day when a guy ran off the road and got stuck in our ditch out front. And it wouldn't start. Basically because I haven't performed in the truck in over a year and it hasn't been started in 5 months. So on the 14 degrees with 12 inches of snow, Earthquake said, "No, I'm not helping you until you pay attention to me." So that's what we're going to do. And even though we haven't been running the truck, we still have to do maintenance to keep things fresh. If the phone ever rings again, right now my hopes are not great, but if the phone rings and somebody wants us to do a display or a show, we will be able to, and we won't be scrambling. So we're going to try to keep the equipment up. And so what we're going to do today is put spark plugs in it because they're gas valve for me trying to start it. The battery is on charge, and then after those two things are done, we're going to put a fresh oil change in it. Okay, so what we're going to do here is take this engine side plate off. It's made out of 1/8" steel, and that keeps any engine pieces from flying out into the crowd if anything bad happens. So we're going to take these bolts out, and then the engine will be right here and real easy to get to. Okay, so now we got the side plate off of the engine, and you can see all my spark plugs. It doesn't get much easier to change than that. I already got my new plugs, and I always put a little bit of anti-seize on there, so when I go to swap them out, it's just too easy. There you have it, halfway done. Those 4 spark plugs are in. I'm going to put this side plate back on, go around and take the other side plate off and repeat the process. Okay, so there we have it. New tune-up in the truck. I'm not worried about plugs, the cap rotor and wires, because they're less than a year old and they have maybe an hour of runtime on it. I go through plugs mainly because the way I have it tuned to run over cars and bounce around and still stay running, it runs real fat, meaning really rich. It's throwing a lot of fuel at it at once. But the truck doesn't die when I'm bouncing over cars, so that's the way I have it set up. So I go through plugs more often than most other people. That and starting it, stopping it, loading it, unloading it, just these short little jaunts. It loads up real fast and doesn't have a time to clear out like if I'm at a show. So, we put plugs in it to keep everything good. It's not running so rich I have to worry about wash down cylinders, but rich enough that it fails the plugs. So the plugs are in it, the battery's charged. Now I'm going to change the oil and we should be ready to put it away again. Okay, so I tried to make everything on Earthquake as easy to work on as possible. The only notable exception is the oil change, because I can't really do much better than that just because of how everything's set up. So we have to take it in bites. We have to drain 4 quarts and switch buckets and drain 4 quarts. I suppose I could hook up a funnel or something like that, but it's just as easy to swap the buckets out halfway through. But everything else is pretty basic to work on, and you saw that with the spark plugs. So we're going to go ahead and get cracking on the oil change. Something else I like to do when I'm changing the oil is prime the oil filter. And that's basically fill up the filter with oil. So you're not trying to suck oil all the way from the pan up through the filter and into the engine. You'll notice that this oil is kind of thick. It's extreme straight 50 weight. And the reason I run that is because the higher compression you have, the more the detonation from the cylinders tries to knock the crank out of the center of the film in the bearings. See, crankshafts don't actually ride on the bearings. They float in a film of oil. And the more pressure you have pushing against that film of oil, the more chance you have of the crankshaft contacting the bearings. And while that sounds normal, that's actually wrong. You don't want the crankshaft to contact the bearings. You want it to float in that film of oil. So, there we are. I'm going to let that flow down a little bit and then keep filling her up. So when I do go to start it, it'll suck oil right from the filter and get through the engine faster. And I've heard some people say that, use thinner oil so it gets through the engine faster. Yeah, no. On newer engines with tighter tolerances, that's what you want. On older engines with really high compression, you want thick oil. That's all there is to it. Unless you, really enjoy melting crankshafts, then go ahead and put the thin oil in it. Anyway, let me get back to work here. And there you go. A pan switch mid-oil change. Good enough. There you have it. Oil's drained, filter's changed, filter's primed. All we got to do is dump oil in it. If anybody's curious, it takes about 8 quarts to fill up the engine. But it's cold out. And the oil's pouring kind of slow, so this is going to take a while. Okay, we're going to see if I made my buddy happy enough to start for us. Oh, he's really not happy. gonna go out and top off the oil. I can put the cover back on him, but he's ready to go again. So there he is. He's all covered back up, ready to rest up for a little bit more. If the phone ever rings, we'll be ready. So long, everybody.